Okay, anyways, let's see what Asmongold has to say about World of Warcraft Dragonflight. I mean, I've seen plenty of his videos, so I have a pretty good idea that he's just like super pumped about it. So we'll see. But let's see, he's doing another Treehouse video, and he looks pretty friggin' happy.
Hey guys, today I wanted to make a video and talk to you all about my honest thoughts about Dragonflight. I've done many of these and talked about it many times on my stream, but I've never really had an opportunity to just sit out here in the treehouse on a very nice day and talk to you about kind of how I feel about the expansion, the reception of it, my opinions, things I'm worried about, things I'm excited about, and just everything else in between. So the expansion got announced on Tuesday, and it had a very, very mixed reception. A lot of skepticism, a lot of criticism, and I think more so even than Shadowlands, because I think that in Shadowlands you still have a lot of people that had a glimmer of hope from BFA, like, oh, maybe this is going to be different, this is going to be the new one, they're turning over a new leaf, and you know, that didn't really happen with Shadowlands in many regards. So you see the same thing.
So my question is, why do people think it's going to happen now? Didn't happen for Shadowlands. What makes people believe, no, this time she's not going to cheat on me. This time it's going to be the real deal.
Happen, these same people probably coming back here with Dragonflight and thinking to themselves, we don't get fooled again. And so I think that's a fair assumption to make, and I think that a lot of the criticism and skepticism is very it's deserved. Let's be honest, it's certainly deserved after what's happened with BFA,
I'm surprised.
With Shadowlands, and I think what happened in the first half of Legion too. So it doesn't really make me very surprised to see people frustrated. It's disappointing to see because it's a game that I love, and I think a lot of them do too. That's why they're still emotional, and I'm unhappy about it. But at the same time, I think that it's on Blizzard now to...
See, here's something that a lot of people don't realize, which Asmongold just said like very casually because clearly he realizes this, and that is that you have people that try to shut down criticisms by being like, you don't even play the game, you don't even like it, why are you talking about it? Why do you think? Like, why do you think? Because clearly I still care. I still would like to play it. Isn't that fucking obvious? Because guess what? When people don't care about something, they stop talking about it. You don't hear me talk about Lost Ark. Played Lost Ark, saw that it wasn't for me, don't care. I just don't even talk about it. Doesn't matter. Doesn't faze me one bit. Because it's not for me. I'm not interested. If I'm still talking about World of Warcraft after all of these years, on some level, I am still interested. But I don't trust Blizzard.
Earn back those people's trust. And how are they going to do that? What is the goal that they need to achieve in order for that to happen? In my opinion, I think that the fundamental thing is fulfillment in the game, and also making content that makes playing the game and being a player of the game feel good. And what does that really mean? That means things like the Dark Moon Fair. That means things like having cool different legendary effects. I'm not saying they should have legendaries, but the effects and, you know, being able to pick these things out and it's cool stuff like that. Like the speed set, for example, in Legion was a really fun little side activity that you could do. The profession stuff that they're updating, I think that's a great idea. And I think also one of the big differences is the class design. Because contrary to what a lot of people believe, I actually think this is the right decision for Blizzard to go in. Why is that? I think the reason is, well, I think anybody can immediately see what the problem is as soon as they go and they try to do the Mage Tower, or they do any other content where all of the borrowed power that their character has is turned off. You are playing a different class. And I don't think that's good for the game. I think that basically what happens whenever this does happen is that Blizzard designs a class and they have to balance effectively 38, or I don't know how many specs are in the game now, a certain amount of specs in the game, and there are effectively 38 different classes. And so Blizzard going back to the older talent trees and having those be effectively the borrowed power, and having your character's power come much more from your class is also, I think, going to give Blizzard more tools to balance classes better. Because I think right now Blizzard has put themselves in a position where it's an unwinnable position. You have to balance conduits, you have to balance covenant abilities, you have to balance covenant class abilities, you have to balance tier sets, you have to balance the talents, you have to balance soul.
Notice how one of the first topics that he's talking about, very much like I did, is class balance. A lot of you want to know what else we have in common? Both of us talked about class balance at the start of our videos. Both of us play warrior. Cursed forever. Although he plays damage warrior, so considering that the president of Blizzard plays a fury warrior, at least he's got a shot at playing since he plays damage warrior, at least he's got a shot. Me, I play tank. I'm fucked for life. Because Blizzard president doesn't play protection, so whatever.
Binds, you have to balance all of these things, legendaries, and it's like, how do you balance all of these variables and have any semblance of success? And I'll tell you how. You don't. And that's what's been going on for the past 5 years. So I think going back to class design and not borrowed power, and having the borrowed power be removed and then have it be put into the class design instead, I think is a better idea. The reason why I think this is a better idea, again, is that the way that your class plays without these systems is just horrible. I remember back, I've never been more depressed in World of Warcraft than whenever I hit level 115. That was after, was it level 115? I think it was. Yeah, it was. And whenever I hit 115, leveling to BFA, and all of my legendary effects turned off in Legion, and I went from having this like fucking uber powerful warrior in Legion to just having this thing, like what is this? Like, what, he just whirlwind or what else? It's about it. And it just was awful. And so I think that making that experience better is 100% what the goal should be, because it's also it has more longevity.
Give me a minute.
I mean, like, you have these systems last for what? A year, 2 years, and then they're gone. Meanwhile, they developed Bladestorm back in Burning Crusade, or not Burning Crusade, back in Wrath. And they, by the way, they also had Heroic Leap in Wrath Beta, and then they got rid of it. And they developed it in Wrath, and it's working great. It's still working great 15 years later, or 10 years later, whatever it is. So I think it's evident that a lot of these different things that they've done over the years do...
Dude, I remember back in the day when Bladestorm would stack with Sweeping Strikes. Now that was the shit. Sweeping Strikes. Bladestorm. Fucking damage Bukake. Sweeping Strikes and Bladestorm. For a while it didn't work. I don't know if it works now or not. I don't think it does. But back in the day, dude, Sweeping Strikes, Bladestorm. My pants would get tighter.
Have the ability to have staying power. And you go back and you think about the different systems that they've released, things like essences, things like Legion legendaries, things like corruptions, things like Azerite armor, things like covenants. And what do all these systems have in common? What they have in common is that they were all dog shit on release. They had very good there were very big positives to them, however. Like the Legion legendaries made your character really cool at the end of Legion. Corruptions were amazing if you had them, and if it was your week on the vendor. However, if it was not, then you were going to be having a very bad time. So, what do all of these things have in common? They were terrible on release, they had really fun gameplay design, and Blizzard took way too long to fix them. And then, above all of those, then they got removed.
Then you lose them.
The next thing and repeat.
Then you lose them at the end of the day. Sokujin, thank you very much for being gross and good. That's the tip of the hat. Appreciate the support. Thank you. You can do something, promote games that don't do this shit? Well, I do. But it's like, even if the games don't do it, there's going to be a third market. Like, you look at Elden Ring. Elden Ring doesn't have microtransactions, doesn't have any of that shit. And I think I promoted the fuck out of Elden Ring as much as I possibly could. Because I really like Elden Ring. I think it's a fantastic game. It's one of the best games of the decade, easily, right? But what happened? It doesn't have microtransactions. There's now a third market of people selling you this shit. There's no escaping it at this point. And why are people selling you this shit? Like third-party people selling you this shit? Because of the fact that because there's demand. So long as there's demand, there's always going to be a market, which fucking sucks. There shouldn't be demand for buying runes in Elden Ring. There shouldn't. But there is.
repeated the process, and this is a cycle that we've gone through for the last 3 expansions, and I think people are fucking tired of it. And you know who else I think is tired of it? Blizzard. Why do they want to keep releasing systems and have these systems be dog shit and then have them get removed? I think that a lot of the people that work there...
I don't think that Blizzard is tired of the systems. I think that Blizzard is scrambling because their numbers went down so bad that they're just like, what the fuck? What do we do? Holy shit. We're all gonna die.
Want to make the game good, and they just continue doing this and continue failing. Why not try and do something different? And so I think focusing on classes and designing things on much more of a ground level like that is going to be a really big positive, and I think that it can make the game better in the long term. And that's something that I think Blizzard, you know, as I said before, with these systems, they just get removed after a year or two. It's one of the things that I think Blizzard really needs to be thinking in, and it's good to hear them talking about that as well. So really, whenever I go back and I think about like my experience in like BFA, or my experience in Legion, or Shadowlands even now, my best memories of the expansion are usually in the beginning, the very beginning, you know, maybe a few things in the middle, and then in the end, right? Because that's whenever all the systems are generally at their best, because they've been iterated on for 2 years. Well, imagine how much better those systems would be after 5 years of iteration and community feedback and just development. So that's what I hope that they're able to do and set the groundwork for Dragonflight. I don't think that Dragonflight is going to be a groundbreaking expansion in the same level that Legion is, but I think that it's going to be another Mists of Pandaria. I think that you're seeing a focus back on the world, you're seeing a focus back on a relaxed form of storytelling. I think that you're seeing a focus on, you know, going back to the basics of World of Warcraft, the Titans, the Titan Keepers, and the Dragons, right? Traditional high fantasy. And I think this is a good, safe decision for Blizzard to go with. I think the cinematic was fine too. I know some people said it was boring. I think it was totally fine. And as I said before, I got very big Mists of Pandaria vibes from this, and a lot of people look back on Mists of Pandaria as being a great expansion. The truth is, for me, I think that if Mists of Pandaria had the theme of Warlords of Draenor, it would have been the best expansion of all time. So that's my opinion on it. I'm not really a big fan of the theme, if you can't tell. So either way,
yeah,
I think
quit
this is also going to be
before
really good
Mists.
for PvP, because this is going to be a big issue. Is that balancing all these secondary and, like, you know, tertiary systems, balancing all these in PvP is very hard to do. And Blizzard has failed at this for years, right? I mean, you remember back in BFA where you had like games that went into 80% dampening, and then now in Shadowlands there are very few games that even go for 8 minutes. So it's very hard, and I prefer 8 minutes, by the way. I think it's better now than it was in BFA. But overall, it's still, you know, you still have these extremes. They're still trending towards these extremes. And I think a big reason for that is the fact that you do have these outlier items, classes, and specs, and just combinations, really, that really just deliver way more damage or way more utility than I think would be necessary. I also think that Blizzard has, you know, Blizzard's made a very good decision with PvP gear. So like right now in PvP gear, and this might be a small thing, but I actually don't think it is that like Arena and like PvP in, like, I don't know, Vanilla, BC, Wrath, maybe a little bit of Cataclysm, it felt like it was half the game, right? And now in Shadowlands, it feels like PvP is like 10%, 20% of the game. And I'd like to see it be a bit more of a thing. I'd like to see Blizzard put a lot more effort into it. Like, where's our new BGs? Where's our new, like, we get new arenas all the time. Where's our new war mode incentives? Where's our new outdoor content for world PvP? Where's our new brawls, right? I mean, I know they've done brawls, they're doing solo shuffle, that's great. But I think that they also need to focus on just making battlegrounds and creating content for casual players. But before I talk about casual players, I want to talk about the way that the PvP gear is going to work in Dragonflight. So basically right now, whenever you buy a piece of PvP gear, let's say its item level is starts at, I don't know, like 262, and then its actual item level is 242, right? And you upgrade it, and its PvP item level goes up to 265, and its normal item level goes up to 245. Well, what they're doing in Dragonflight, which is ironically the exact thing that I said to do, and there were a lot of other people that said it too, is to have it to where whenever you buy the gear, it automatically starts at the highest level of PvP, and then only you upgrade the item level of PvE. So that way, right now, the problem with PvP is that you have to spend so much time gearing out your character, whereas back in Warlords of Draenor or Mists of Pandaria, whenever I thought that the system was in a very good state, you just had to spend about 20 hours, you got your PvP gear, and then you were pretty much done. And I think that one thing that Blizzard is hopefully going to understand more as they go through the alpha and the beta of this expansion is that a lot of things that actually extend content is not time gating, it's alts. Whenever I was tired with playing with my warrior in Burning Crusade, I made my warlock, and then whenever I got tired of playing on my warlock, I got tired of winning, I played on my paladin. And then whenever I got tired of holding aggro on everything that I touched, then I went back and I played my warrior, and that wasn't the case anymore whenever I played Burning Crusade, right? And then you go into Wrath, and it was the same thing. Like I would play all of these different characters, and they had such a different feel and the play style.
He makes a good point. Like during Wrath, I played all of the tanks except Druid because I didn't want to look like a bear. So I played all of the tanks except, I mean, I say all of the tanks. There was like 3 of them, right? It was Warrior, Death Knight, and Paladin. Were there other tanks in... I don't think there were any other tanks back in Wrath. So yeah, I would play those 3 consistently, and I actually made tutorials for those 3 as well. Yeah.
Like the way that you played a prompt Paladin in Burning Crusade was very, very different than the way you played a Affliction Warlock. And it was even different than the way you played a prompt Warrior in Burning Crusade. So having those differences in the way the class plays, I think gives people the ability to play another class and take on another viewpoint into the game. And I think that's actually a much better way of extending content because number one, it's voluntary. Not everybody has to do the same stupid fucking time-gated system or whatever, but also it's based around players doing something that they want to do rather than something that they have to do. And I think that's something that I really like to see Blizzard focus on more, is trying to take out the artificial friction that's been created in the game over the years. And I feel like I talk about this a lot, and the reason is because I care about it a lot, and that's the alt systems and the way that alts work in the game now. I think that for all of the end game systems and for everything outside of like maybe gear and like maybe a handful of other stuff, I'd love to see things just be account-wide. I would. Because I think that it would progression just make the game better, and you're gonna have people saying, "Oh, well, you just don't want to have to work for them on your alts." That's exactly right. I don't want to.
Okay, I need to understand something. Who the fuck are these people? You just don't want to have to work for anything in the game. Who the fuck are these people? Like, who are these people that say these things? You don't want to have to work for your alts. You goddamn right I don't. Didn't I do the grind in my main character? Why the fuck would I want to do an unpleasant grind twice? Why the fuck would I want to do an unpleasant grind 3 times? What the fuck? Like, why? Like really, just, I need to know who these fucking people are. Like, who the fuck is running around? Did you grind it once on your main? Yeah. Did you grind it on your alts? No, it's boring. Casual. Like there's some kind of skill involved with grinding something 20 times. Like there's some kind of skill involved with grinding world quests. What the fuck? Get the fuck out of here, dude. Everything should be account-wide. Everything. Any system that you have to grind, account wide. You do, I don't know, you do like 100 side quests. I never want to do them again. I've done these 100 side quests. I never want to touch them again. Ever. I'm done. I've done them. I don't have to do them anymore. Done.
I already did on my main. I don't want to do it again. And I think it'll make the game better. It'll add a lot more longevity to content because people will be able to approach it with a new set of abilities and talents and tools. And I think that makes games way more fun. I think that alts, again, extend the content that games really have. With World of Warcraft, I think this is true with Lost Ark. I think this is especially true with Final Fantasy. You go and play a Dark Knight, that's one thing. You go and play a Red Mage, that's something else. So I think that's a huge thing. I really hope that they're doing that. From what I've heard in the interviews, it seems like it's something that's on their radar, but I'll be waiting until the alpha to really pass judgment on whether that's the case or not. So I hope they really do the alpha stuff, and that's going to be, or sorry, the alt stuff, and that's going to be a huge positive for the game. And in terms of the narrative of the story, I think that Blizzard is best whenever they're telling a narrative that is much more black and white. It's binary, there's not really a whole lot of nuance to it, and I think that it's also safer to tell a story that way. And oftentimes you get the nuance that plays out in a story like that, such as Garrosh or such as Arthas, where it's a black and white story, but it's truly not. And I think that there are many cases where things like that happen, and you have something like Thanos and Infinity War that's true like that in a lesser extent. And creating compelling villains does not necessarily mean that you have to create morally gray ones. And I think that Dio from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure is a good example of a very evil villain, but he's also very compelling. So focus on doing things like that, keep it simple. And so the next thing I want to talk about is the new class, the Evoker, and of course with that is the new race, the Drakthir. Now, the Drakthir race is, it could be better. Like, let's be honest, it could be better. Like, I think it's like cool, right? It's a cool dragon race.
Could be better.
I wish they had like a male and a female option. Like, in my opinion, I think this might get me a little bit of hate or people getting mad at me. But I always thought that it would be a good idea because obviously they had like Chromie and they wanted to have like trans representation in the game. I thought it would be a good idea if they had it to where a male and a female character can have, or a male or female dragon avatar. And that could also give us an option to, by the way, have a little bit more manly fucking dragon characters, you know, because that's what I really want. So I was actually expecting them to do this with Dragonflight whenever they were talking about having a dragon race or whatever. I'm surprised it hasn't happened. I think it would be a good idea. It would solve a problem that the players have, and it would also solve a representation problem that I think Blizzard wants to achieve. So we'll see if that happens. Either way, my end goal, I really just want to have more fucking manly dragons, okay? People wonder, I think there's going to be some sort of an allegiance thing.
Sexist! Manly dragons? So sexist!
It's not going to be like covenants, but it's going to be more like renown and reputations. I am 100% going to be going with the Black Dragonflight. I mean, Rathian is now Dragon Jason Momoa, so it's not even a question. We're obviously going Black Dragonflight. And so other than that, I feel like I'm excited. I'm excited for the expansion. And that being said, I'm also not like freaking out. I'm not like, wow, this is going to be the greatest thing ever. I just hope it's good, man. And if it's not, I'm just probably going to play another game, or I'm going to go and do Lost Ark or do something else, and maybe just watch more YouTube videos and complain about the state of the game until they fix it again, and that's about it. So I think that, taking that approach with the game and, not making sure, trying to treat the game like a game and not like a relationship is something that I think is very healthy. And I'd like to see more players do that. We have so many other games out there nowadays that I think that in a very, very positive way towards the game, World of Warcraft, we can just go do something else. And I think that's the case. So every time that I hear people being upset or stressed out about the game not being very good, I just say play another game. And I think that the truth is that I don't know if we would have seen all of the changes and all of the patch notes and everything for like 9.15 with the Covenants if players had not moved over en masse to Final Fantasy. So yeah. I think not only is this something that's good for your own peace of mind, but it also seems like it's something that's arguably good for the game too, a World of Warcraft. It seems like that's something that Blizzard actually listens to, and hopefully it won't come to that point with Dragonflight, but I think that people should always be willing to take a step back and wait for the expansion to get better, and don't play something that upsets you or makes you mad or makes your day worse. It's a video game, it's supposed to be for fun. So that's the way I'm going to treat it. I'm going to treat it like a game. If I'm having fun, I'm going to play it. And if I'm not having fun, maybe I'll play something else instead. And I think that's the way most people should look at it. And I think also people are very skeptical. Blizzard has earned that skepticism. Blizzard has earned that distrust. And it's very unfortunate to say that. And I think it's on them to build up that trust again. And I said many times it'll take 2 or 3 expansions for World of Warcraft to truly be good again, and I still stick by that. I think that this could be the first expansion, but maybe not. I don't know. I mean, we haven't really seen a lot of the features in the expansion. The Dragon Isles looks cool. The dragon riding, I didn't even talk about this, like the dragon riding ability, obviously stolen from Guild Wars 2. Great, that gives me more faith than anything else. Blizzard's back to doing what they do best, stealing ideas from other games and doing them better, hopefully. So we'll see how this goes. I find it interesting. I like the idea of having a dragon, and you can, you know, unlock different customization options for it. It always made me think back on like The Witcher 3, whenever you killed the griffin and you had the griffin's head on the side of Roach, right? Whenever you're riding around Roach as the horse. And so I thought that was great. So, you know, let's add some stuff like that. Instead of a griffin head, how about Onyxia's head? Or how about something else, right? That would be really cool. And just in general, I hope the expansion's good. I've played WoW for 15 years. I'm excited, of course, but I think that we should all temper our enthusiasm. Many expansions recently have not been ideal, and I just hope Blizzard has the...
Have not been ideal? Understatement of the decade. Many expansions have not been ideal. It's almost like, my house is on fire. It's not really ideal. It's not very optimal that my house is on fire right now. It's not a catastrophe. It's not terrible. It's just not ideal.
You know, the sense to listen to the players and make changes proactively rather than reactively, and just give people what they want and stop telling them constantly what they need. Because I think that it's important to do both, but recently Blizzard's done a little bit too much of one and not the other. So I just hope that we're able to give good feedback, Blizzard's able to listen to it, and the game's better for everybody. I think this is also going to be better for Final Fantasy players, for Lost Ark players, for RuneScape players, for really any MMO.
World of Warcraft being better would be better for everybody else. Unfortunately, not everybody understands that, but that is the case.
I think that it's a rising tide floats all boats. If World of Warcraft is doing better, I think that increases the competition and makes other teams and other games want to work harder. And it's, in general, something where good ideas are shared and they're also spread throughout the entire industry. So I hope that's what happens. And just in general, I think this is going to be a good thing for a lot of things regarding the game. So anyway, that's about all I've got. I'm, as I said, excited, skeptical a little bit. But, you know, I am cautiously optimistic. I think that's the word that I would say. And sadly, I think if I go back to a video of 2 years ago, that's probably what I said about Shadowlands 2.
Yep.
So we'll have to see what happens. Anyway, that's about all I've got. Seems like a good direction, but we'll have to see what actually happens. Anyway, boys, thanks all for watching. Curious about what your thoughts are, and that's all I've got. Peace.
You've heard a lot about the...
Yeah. I don't know, dude. At least I liked some of his initial statements. It was his initial opening salvo was kind of very grounded, but near the end he was like drinking the Kool-Aid a little bit.